Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am SG. This is Let the Ladies Speak. Let the Ladies Speak is a podcast in which I discuss life, love, dating, and relationships. So, if you want to check out my actual podcast, please follow me on any podcast platforms. And the title is Let the Ladies Speak. Here on YouTube, I do upload some of my podcasts, but I also want to talk about some of the things I talk about on the show separately, and I've decided to review Ready to Love. Ready to Love is a dating show by OWN. It's a Will Packer production, and Tommy is the host, nephew Tommy, he's known as. Again, because I love to discuss and focus on life, love, and relationships, I love to talk about healing. I love to talk about red flags and things like that because I am a single woman dating and I've learned a lot over the years. I like to share that information. I think reviewing the show helps highlight a lot of the things we see in the dating pool today. So tonight's episode is titled The X Factor. It's episode 8 and this is season 4, and the guys get to meet the exes of the ladies that are left on the show. So Tommy has all the ladies meet him at the house for the ladies lounge, and I guess that's going to be the new location for the ladies moving forward. He made a comment with that. um Miss Jackie's there. They talk a little bit about how they met, how long they've been together, and just kind of give some background on their relationship. The ladies are to find an ex and have them meet with their number ones. And in that process, Tommy encourages the ladies to pay attention to how the men act. Are they jealous? Just pay attention to their overall behavior. And also ask the men that they've invited to give a little insight on the person that they've chosen to be their number ones. So the ladies are all set. Some people have some concerns, but for the most part, the ladies are ready to go. Okay. So I'm going to look at my notes here if you see me looking down. First up, we have Varnisha. Varnisha meets with her ex name is David and Joel. And I think everybody's a little surprised. I don't think Joel was prepared for this. So I find it interesting that they haven't told the castmates what they're doing, the male castmates. Anyway, so Joel, they're talking, and once it's established who he is and what's going on, Joel asks David, is Varnisha clingy? And I find it very interesting that Joel is dead set on pushing this narrative that she is clingy. I'm not sure if Joel is trying to gaslight Varnisha or if he really sincerely has some concerns. I think there's something else going on though. And I said on the last episode, I think he's just upset that Vernisha probably called him to the carpet for kissing Amber behind the scenes, and he's carrying that over when they are filming. I think that has kind of put him in his feelings, but we don't know for sure. I'm sure it'll all come out when we do the when they do the finale. But anyway, the guy said no, but the way that Varnisha and David looked at each other, I feel like that's something else that's happening too. So I don't know if he said no to protect her, or if he said no because that's really the case and they had a conversation about it. And she basically was like, see, I told you he was on some bull with this whole I'm clingy thing. Or if there's another term that David wants to use. It was just interesting to read the body language there. So I'm sure that'll all come out later. But he says no. And then Varnisha brings up the issue with communication and gives the example that Joel was supposed to go on a date. Her and Joel was supposed to go out to eat. And Joel basically ghosted her and never followed through or anything like that. And she had to reach out to him. Let this be a cautionary tale. Let this be a lesson. There, other than death, injury, or family emergency or something like that, there isn't a reason for a person to make plans for you and never say anything. If they're not sick or something like that, usually that means he's losing interest. So I think that he has lost interest. I think the shine has, he no longer feels the same way about Varnisha, and he's kind of just playing around or dragging this thing out for whatever reason. I don't think he's being transparent, or he has some really serious reservations and he doesn't know how to communicate that. But Joel said that he had done a lot of healing from the passing of his wife and things like that. I will hope that that means that he has some therapy, and I will hope that that means he is able to verbalize what's happening with him. But as we see, that is not what's happening. So it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes. But if I was a friend of Varnisha, or Varnisha asked me, I gotta stop saying friends, because I said keep your friends out your relationship, right? If Varnisha was to ask me, I would just say, that's a red flag. If he doesn't value your time, knowing that you are an entrepreneur, knowing that you are a mom and he's a dad, so he knows how that is, and he just didn't even have enough respect for you essentially to follow up with you, let that be a lesson and you move accordingly. Whatever that means to you. Does that mean leave him alone completely? Probably should be. But if you decide to deal with him, just make sure you understand that that's how he's going to be moving forward. Okay, which shouldn't be acceptable behavior to you, but things happen. Okay. Um, and next, so again, I don't like the narrative that Joel's trying to push on Varnisha. For now, if you're no longer interested, say that. Like, use your words. You got to use your words. Express how you feel. Express where you are. People have the right to change their minds. That's what you should focus on. Okay. Next up, we have Alexa and Ron. And Ron meets Alexa's ex, Joseph, who is her ex before her ex-husband, right? I don't know why her ex-husband couldn't make it on the show. I'm curious about that, but who knows? So anyway, they meet up, and the dynamic between them was off. It was like Ron originally was okay, and all of a sudden a switch went off and something changed. I said it before, there's something going on with the editing, but at that time, for some reason, he got defensive. And I also think that Ron is a little still upset about Chrysanthemum going home. I think he's holding a little resentment there about that. But anyway, Ron's true colors came out. The other side of Ron revealed itself this week. I mean, on this episode, let me just say. So Ron there's this conversation going back and forth about church, and Ron asked Joseph, was he a religious man? Because it was kind of like oozing out of them. And Alexis made a statement about how she brought him to Christ. Now, here's the thing. The Lord can use anyone as a vessel, right? But at the end of the day, a person is accountable and responsible for themselves. They make decisions for themselves as an adult. Okay. This man, she was the introduction. He decided to go with it. He decided to go on the journey, right? Ladies, you can't think that you can do that for everyone. And I think Alexis feels like, I can do this. Stop trying to be, we as women have to stop trying to be the hero for our men. We're not their heroes. We're not their saviors. We're not their protector in a sense. Now, we can talk about what happens once you guys get married and how you protect your household, but this is a dating time, and you can't feel like I'm going to be able to convince him. Ron has told her before, I don't know about the guy thing now. Ron did say he felt like she could elevate him to that level, but they never got into the reasons why Ron, because Ron mentioned he left the church. They never talked about why Ron left the church, what was his church hurt, things like that. And I've had a similar experience. I talked about it in my healing process video podcast. You can check it out on here or on my podcast platform, but I do have it uploaded on YouTube. People have their reasons for leaving. And my issue with Alexis is, yes, I think Alexis is funny. I think she is entertaining. But my issue with her is she has focused so hard on beating Chrysanthemum and being everyone's top and number one and being chose that she hasn't taken the time. She has not taken the time to select the person that is right for her. She has not taken the time to see if this man was what she needed in her life. She's ignored all of the signs. Ryan said that he wasn't that guy. And if that's very important to you, when were you having this conversation about whether or not you guys should be together? When were you having this conversation? When were you having this conversation about religion and children and cooking? Because cooking came up too. And the way Alexis laughed when they asked Chrysanthemum if she can cook last episode, I would have thought she can throw down in the kitchen. But she's like, yeah, I can do a little something. I mean, I have a son. He has to eat, and that's how I make it happen. So I find that interesting as well. So your focus was on the wrong thing the whole time. Ladies, don't compete with the other woman. Be you. If that man is for you, he will be for you. He will be yours. If he's not, then he's not. You don't have to compete with another woman. And that's what she's done. And she hasn't paid attention to anything that's of value because she was so focused on beating this lady and being number one. And now her feelings are hurt. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But Ryan basically was like, you know, while you're praying, I'm going to be out doing. Now, listen, the word says faith without works is dead. So I understand you do have to get up and do what you have to do. But yeah, you do want somebody that prays. So all this talking that they said they've done, they haven't talked about what is important to the both of them. And now they're here where she's invested. And he's like, no, not really. I'm not doing that. I'm not interested. That's not who I am. But he showed you who you were, Alexis. You just didn't pay attention. And she talked about how important her faith is. And all of that could have been eliminated in all these conversations she was having. But you so busy hugging on this man and you my number one and, taking jabs at this other lady that you didn't see what was right in front of you because nothing really has changed. Now, what he has shown is how disrespectful and demeaning he can be. He was like, had it up to here with the both of them. But again, I feel like something happened because it's like a switch went off. So I don't want to really speak too much about that because I'm sure it'll come out later. I hope it does anyway. So, but you can tell Alexis was uncomfortable during that whole conversation. And the guy was too, because he was like, she wants to feel validated and things like that. And he was like, yeah. And then Ron made a comment about I have to talk about this. He made a comment about the apron. He was like, do I look like I wear an apron? Like, yeah, I know how to cook and I'm good at it, but that's not what I'm going to do. See, there's so much confusion. Here's the problem. No one knows exactly what it is that they really want. And they're just out here rolling around, bumping into walls, trying to figure it out. That's not how you date when you say you've gotten to a point where you want love. You need to set your intentions. You need to set your goals. Okay. So the ladies meet up at the nail salon for drinks and pedicures. And I noticed Amber wasn't there. And Vernisha set this up. This was her friend's nail bar. And Vernisha basically said that for all the ladies that could come. And I wonder if there was something going on because of the kiss between Joelle and Amber. But who knows? We don't know. So I'm not gonna speculate too much. But I will take note. Seagram's Gin is sponsoring this. Seagram's Gin is a sponsor because they had Seagrams everywhere. But anyway, so they make drinks based off of their man. You tell the bartender or the mixologist things about your man. She mixes you a drink. So of course, Vernisha got Joelle and Alexis got a Ron. I don't know if this was before or after the conversation. I know they kind of mix the editing sometimes, but she got a Ron. And then Kyra gets a Jason, right? And she said it with a little shade. Again, Kyra has been competing with Alexis and Liz. Kyra is just more undercover with her. She has a pretty good poker hand. She doesn't really want you to know what she's thinking and she's feeling, but she's going to move. She said it in the confessional, but she doesn't say it in the open that we see. And so, that was her way of letting Liz know, Jason is my number one, just in case you didn't know. So Liz gets a drink, takes a sip of it, and was like, it's a David, like a bitter face, right? Because there's some things happening with David, honey. But they take little slight jabs, and then later Liz was like, you know what? I think I want to try a little Jason. And so Kyra was like, oh, oh, okay, well, I'll try little David. She said, girl, go ahead. Like, if you want those kind of problems, go ahead and have those kind of problems. Go on and get you a Jason. I mean, a little David. Please, by all means, knock yourself out. So anyway, Alexis talks about how she hasn't been kissed. She's the only one that hasn't been kissed. Vernisha said she hadn't been kissed either, on a full head and cheeks and all of that, but she hasn't been kissed. And then, earlier, Bernicia was said she was learning a lot about herself in this process. And I think it's more so just about getting in the, and she said this, getting back in the dating game. Once you've been in a committed relationship for some time, you're used to this person, right? Then you get out and you start dating again, and then things have changed. The dynamics have changed. What age bracket you decide to date moving forward had changed. Like, I used to date men that were older than me, and when I started dating men my age, well, baby, it's a whole nother ball game. I'll do some story times on that. But it's just a different dynamic because they grow up differently, with different values for the most part. Not everything has been taught to the next generation. The next generation a lot of times always wants to throw away things, and that you grow as a person, and what worked for your parents you don't feel like worked for you, and things of that sort. So you get out here and you start dating again, and it's kind of like, oh, well, this isn't I didn't know that I was this way. And when you really haven't dealt with yourself, when you really haven't worked on yourself, when you really haven't healed on yourself, you don't have that connection with yourself to know certain things. There are going to always be surprises, but if you haven't dealt with yourself and did your own self work, you're not going to know. And I think that's where Vernisha is. She wears a lot of hats, as a lot of us do. So I'm not saying there is anything wrong with it. She wears the hat of mom, an entrepreneur, right? So I just don't think she's had the opportunity to really get to know, heal, and work with Vernisha, right? And I'm going to say there are a lot of tidbits from the show. I made a list, so I'll be doing videos on that. And some of them will be topics for the podcast, but some of them will be videos, short videos just for YouTube, because I have been getting some feedback, and one of the things I've been told is to have shorter videos, so I'm going to work on that. So Vernisha makes a little statement like, I'm happy I don't have to worry about anybody. I'm happy I don't have to worry about anybody. She's not in a threesome, basically competing with another woman, but I have a feeling that's why Amber's not there. Just saying. But we move on. So after the ladies' night, Liz, Clarence, and David meet up. Clarence is Liz's ex. They dated some years ago and decided that they were better off as friends, and he's kind of like a big brother to her. And he was a big brother to her in this moment. You guys know how I feel about David. I've been saying from day one, he has abusive tendencies. He has narcissistic tendencies. He's been grooming Liz, or trying to anyway. And it's just unfolding more and more because he has to be in control. And he is losing control. People aren't playing their role that he wants them to play. And there's some information out there about him and his wife. I'm trying not to watch it and get involved in it because I don't want my thoughts to change too much, but I did listen to one podcast that she did. Because I guess they used to have a podcast together, and there's a lot out there. So I did listen, and it was very interesting. So I'm going to dive more into it probably later, but I can say that my suspicions were correct. But I've seen a lot in my life. In my profession. I deal with people a lot, and then I've had my own dating experiences and relationship experiences. So David is pretty textbook in what he does. Anyway, Liz talks about how David threw her under the bus and, told the friends, said in front of the friends once the cameras were off. So he asked, did you kiss Jason again? And that again, he wants to punish her. That's what the whole sending her home was about, all of that. He wants to punish her. That kiss made him feel betrayed. How dare she betray him? Although he's been dating other people, although he's been hugging on other people, Um, he felt betrayed. He's going to punish her for it. David is a no for me. So Clarence, honey, did not come to play. Okay, not about his Liz baby. Clarence says, do you feel like what do you need? And David talks about how he needs a safe space. Clarence said, do you feel like you provided that for her? I'm like, I wonder if Clarence is a counselor or a coach, or he must be a minister. He's something, because he knows how to word those questions. But you can tell he was frustrated. And, David said, yeah, absolutely. But see, David started turning his conversation more towards Liz and trying to ignore Clarence. And, once Clarence kind of questioned him into the box, trying to make him be accountable for what he had done, or his behavior, David said, we need to bring down the strength in the room. Clarence is like, I'm an alpha. I don't do weak. Now, you guys now know how I feel about the whole alpha male conversation. Sometimes when men say they're alpha, they're not, they're going about it the wrong way. In this case, though, I honestly feel like he was really being Liz's protector. Like, you playing games. And he told Liz, he tells you what he wants you to hear. He's a smooth talker. But if you're acting one way in front of me and another way when I'm not around, how do I know who you are? And that's important. That's important. A true person of integrity is the same. They are consistent, And David shows that he lacks integrity, amongst other things. So, Clarence wasn't here for it. And I can tell that Liz was very bothered by everything that was happening. Liz, and she later talks about this, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. Liz stated how she corrected herself. She said, my feelings. She had feelings for David. She said, I now realize that I now realize that I was attached to what they have in common. I'm paraphrasing. I took what they had in common, what we have in common. We have spirituality and things like that in common. And I made a note that when you're dating, don't grab on to what you've been missing or the one thing that you want and you ignore everything else. You have to step back and look at the big picture. Don't let people love bomb you where they rush you along and tell you all of this stuff. Because I guess David tried to come out later and make it seem like I read some comments where people were saying David did a live, and on this live, he was saying how he dated other people. He had been interested in Kyra and so on and so forth. Dave, you know what you were doing. You wanted everybody to know that you and Liz were together, but when you felt like she betrayed you, that's when you flipped on her, But I'm gonna get on because this video will be real long. I can go into details. I'm gonna keep it moving. But anyway, that was the end of the relationship. End of the meeting. Kyra and Jason meets with her ex Tim. He's on video, and this interaction was a little telling. Tim asked how long had Jason been single. He said about 1.5 years. And what's the end game? Jason said, I'm looking to get married. Kyra's body language was everything. She holds her cards very close to her chest, right? Kyra was like, don't say too much. Don't say too much. She doesn't want you to see her. And Kyra, people have to see you. If you want somebody to love you, they have to see you. And she doesn't want you to see her. She doesn't want you to see the flaws in her. We're all flawed. Like, what are you working on? But anyway, Jason asked Tim, how does she handle stressful situations? And Tim was like, she doesn't let things go. I don't know if that's the answer to the question, but it's a red flag for Jason. And, she has like this look on her face. Kyra was so uncomfortable. And then Jason asked, how does she handle money? And Tim said, basically, she's not good with money. She knows she has it and she's going to spend it. And so Jason, I put on here, Kyra doesn't like for people to see her flaws, but I already said that. She says, I'm confident that Jason's going to be okay. He's going to still choose me. Jason's over there like, I don't know. Because, see, Jason doesn't even know what he wants. Jason is not 100% sure about how he feels. Now, everybody, these are my opinions. This is what I see. I don't know these people personally, but these are my observations. But I don't think Jason really knows, because Jason's like a little bit all over the place. He knows he wants to get married, I think. But I don't think he really knows what he's looking for in a partner. Amber Amber and Tony meet with KG. So KG comes in, gives a hug, like, what's going on? KG's doing his energy reads, like, what's happening? And they talk a little bit about kids. And KG said he wants 5 kids. Amber, baby, listen. He wants 5 children. He still wants you to work. Watch my other videos. I talk about their interaction. I actually like KG. I actually like them two together. I just don't think Amber is thinking in the future. And if he is a forever partner, like if KG is supposed to be your forever partner, there's some other conversations that need to be had. Ladies, don't get swept away in what feels good. You have to use logic. You have to think more about what's going on. Don't get caught up in what feels good. So she was like, oh, you didn't tell me that. Again, I don't know what these people talk about when they talk, but they really get in front of these cameras and act like they don't know what's going on. So KG's spidey senses are going off, and he's like, okay, what's going on? And Amber and Tony fess up. Tony came out when he was in a relationship with Amber, and you can tell that was really hurtful. But basically, they worked through it. She supported him, and KG liked that, and KG was like, I commend her. And that, how KG was non-judgmental, made Amber feel better and made her like him more. And she also makes a statement how she wants to be a mother above being a wife. And I hope that is her truth. I hope that is her truth. You know, I don't agree with that, but that has nothing to do with me. That's her life. Um, Raising children is hard. Bringing a child into this world is hard. We really can't be everything all the time to everybody. And there isn't anything wrong with having a partner in life to help you with these things. When it comes down to custody and legal things, like, I think marriage is important for that when you involve children. But those are my views. I just hope that Amber, again, is speaking in her truth. So AJ, Alexis, Liz, and Jason met up. AJ can never have a date by himself. He talking about he needs some support. What kind of support? This is episode 8. You guys have been on how many dates, and you always double your dates. Aside from that one-on-one with Kyra, I don't really think he's had any major dates, and that was really just for him to kind of clear his name. AJ, go deal with what you need to deal with. AJ isn't serious, or who has he pursued? He hasn't pursued anyone. He has been doing just what Amber said he does. He waits for everyone to come to him. Kyra was the most effort that he put forward on that one date that we've seen. Okay. AJ's not serious. AJ has some things that he doesn't want to reveal. He's just not ready, in my opinion. AJ says he has concern with Kyra because, he hears about last week everybody jumped on the Kyra bandwagon and kissing and all this other stuff he says. Translation, I don't know if I got her in the bag for sure and I may not be able to stay. I don't like rejection. I don't want to lose. Let me go back to Liz. Because he is not comfortable with Liz either. Jason says how Liz is growing on him, and Jason, be quiet. Listen, just say it. You found out some things about Kyra that makes you a little uncomfortable. You want to make sure she's not going to spend up all your NBA money or, your overseas basketball money because you're living on a teacher salary right now. Like, let's just be honest that the money thing is concerning to you. Liz, it seems more stable and mature, and she likes you too, so you're going to go with Liz. But he goes in to try to kiss Liz. Liz give him the church side. We do that at the church. So you don't kiss my actual lips. So Liz is like, no, because you've been kissing. You starting to do the Troy where you kissing everybody. No, but they talk, and Alexis starts talking about basically how AJ she likes him. He could break her heart, and he gives butterflies, and that's the kind of man that she wants. And Alexis, I'm going to do an episode just for Alexis. I really want you to focus on you. I really want you to focus on what you're looking for. She has this big thing about wanting to be chose, and it's like, what are you looking for? You can't go with everybody that chooses you. I said that last time. Some people that choose you aren't good for you. You can get chosen by a pimp. Do you want to be a prostitute? Like, no. So don't go by who chooses you only. Yeah, let him be intentional in his pursuit of you. But this is you have children. This is a dual assignment here, right? So, so she said she chose Ryan because Ryan was the opposite, and he chose her, but she really wants AJ. And she's talking about, she gets a little emotional about how you haven't been intentional. You don't show your interest. He's telling you he's not interested in you. He's telling you he's not ready. He's telling you you're not important. And I'm not trying to be mean or hurtful. I'm just saying you have to pay attention to the nonverbals. Him not being intentional is him saying you're not what he's pursuing. Men go after what they want. Even ones who aren't quite sure, they still make some attempt. He's not making any attempts other than trying not to get cut off the show. So anyway, she starts talking. He does player move one-on-one. Can I shut you up? And then he kisses her. I dated a guy that used to try to do stuff like that. It drove me crazy. Like, that was short-lived, because we need to have conversations. You can't just you don't want to hear it. You don't want any conflict. You don't want to iron anything out. You don't want to have any discussion. So let me redirect this conversation. And that's what he did. And so, of course, she fell for it, and now she all giddy. That man is not ready, in my opinion. So Jason and Liz, they're just there spectating. Jason is all excited. Jason like, Liz, Alexis, you have some decisions to make. She really doesn't. I don't think, aside from KG, Smooth, and Amber, I don't really think anybody is going to end up together for real. It's all falling apart. all around. It's all falling apart. So they meet back at Tommy's house, and Vernisha says, her friend says she thinks Joel's a good fit for her. I know there's some editing that we didn't see, but I don't know. I think he probably said, I like Joel. Joel and the guy are both from New Orleans. I think maybe he said that. I'm not sure. It was like she was going a little extra, even when she was describing the whole clingy thing. He just said no and put his head down from what we saw. But she was like, no, not at all. Like, don't put that out there. I am not clingy. Okay, Bernicia. Alexis talks about her relationship with God and Ron really not being, on the same page with her. And basically, long and short, Tommy and his wife were like, if that's important to you, like, this shouldn't even be a discussion. I'm not going to get into all what was said because I don't want this video to be too long. But, if this is what you need, it shouldn't be a discussion. And that's the thing. If she really, really knew what her non-negotiables were, if she really, really knew what she wanted and what she was seeking out here, she would have known that too. And he would have been somebody that she eliminated as well, because it's been obvious. So she was tearful, and she was like, God got me through, and I don't want to make that choice, and things like, you don't have to make that choice. It shouldn't be a choice. And just, how he was talking to her and towards her, I don't know. So Liz corrected herself and said that David had her interest and not her heart. But I talked about that earlier. Tommy asks if you could leave with anybody, who would you leave with? Kyra says Jason. Liz says Jason. Kyra is sweating because everybody want her man. Kyra, you can't have both of them, girl. Now, which one do you want? Well, who is your number one? She says Jason, but when Alexis, who says, her and AJ shared a kiss and it was passionate and they have lovey dovey and butterflies and all these things are happening when they interact with one another, Kyra took the biggest gulp of her wine. I think Kyra just doesn't want to lose. But I'm not sure who she's really, really, really feeling like that. I said Kyra was vexed, as she was. Amber says KG, and Bernicia, of course, says Joelle. So Jackie tells the ladies to pray about what they're going to do and follow their gut, follow their instinct, follow your intuition. And you should always do that. You should always seek yourself and seek your higher power when you're making important decisions like this. Although this is a show, because they're not really, they keep trying to sell us that this is really about finding love, but this is purely entertainment. Anyway, Ron and Alexis meet up and she tries to explain how she felt, how, some of the things he was saying. And Ron was being very defensive and condescending. And I forgot how it went, but Ron said something. Alexis said something about what she can do for him. And Ron was like, you can't do nothing for me. And she said, hold up. But I'm like, oh, okay. That would have been my church finger time. You're right. I can't. And it's just how he says things. It's like he comes at her with such irritation. So I'm curious as to what happened between them, or if this is just him. It could be just him, because there are people like that. People wear masks all the time, and then when that mask comes off, they're like, now you're gonna get the dirty. But she couldn't really get across to him. He wasn't having it. She was trying to say, how important religion and spirituality is to me. He basically was like, that's not who I am. And that was the gist of their conversation. David and Liz meet up, and in his traditional, I'm trying to control everything way, he was trying to overtalk Liz. And see, this was alarming and triggering for me because David stood up over Liz. Just, she was like, let me talk now. Liz invited him to have this conversation. She just wanted to talk and get some things on her heart. We don't know who was eliminated. I'm going to go ahead and say that because they wouldn't really say it's a to be continued. But I think both of them are going to go, honestly. But David stood up over her to try to make her listen to him. That is a telling sign. That's very much a telling sign, because they're just having a conversation. This is a lady, and Liz said she handled herself so well, and she said, "You're a gentleman, right? So you're okay with letting the lady speak." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't become hostile or anything like that. But she stood in what she was trying to say. And then David tries to go in and I don't know if he was trying to kiss her, but she was like, David, no, I don't know what he was doing. But the fact that, again, he did the same thing that AJ did. Okay, this is not going how I want to. So let me see how I can get you back to where I need you to be. Ladies and gentlemen, because abuse of various forms happen across sex genders, okay? Pay attention to when someone wants to dominate you, when they won't let you speak, when they don't want you to have a voice, when they want you to be what they want you to be, when they constantly try to change you, when they belittle you, when they try to punish you for little things, period, when they can't just have intelligent conversations, when they hold back emotions from you or affection or intimacy or conversation. Those are all forms of manipulation. All forms of manipulation. Those are all forms of abuse or signs that you are going to lead to abuse. When people won't be accountable or take responsibility, those are issues as well. So really pay attention to those signs when you're dating, so that you can be safe. Okay. You can be in a healthy relationship so you know when to walk away and you don't have to suffer unnecessarily. Okay. Well, that's my review on Ready to Love and More because I talked a lot more about what's going on. Again, I'm going to do some shows with just like some tidbits where I give some advice, my opinion based on what I've learned, again, what I've seen, what I've read about, what I've experienced, and what I prayed about. Basically, I'll share that. I'll share those things with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday weekend. I am filming this on Thursday night. Hopefully, it will be up Friday or Saturday. Fingers crossed. I have to work. But I wish you the best. Love you for who you are. Thank you for letting me speak. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I want to send a shout out to Blue Nola. Thank you so much. She shouted me out on her channel, and my last video got a lot of views. I appreciate you so much for doing that. But again, guys, don't forget, subscribe, like, and comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Have a great time. You guys be safe out there. Bye bye.